Sox Front Office Report with Sam Kennedy, and it is brought to you this week by Time Out Market, Boston's best eating and drinking destination in the Fenway, all under one roof, timeoutmarket.com. And Sam Kennedy joins us on the Harbor One hotline this morning. Hey, Sam, how are you?
I'm hanging in, Greg. How you doing this morning?
I think this may be your last appearance of the season.
Oh, mercifully for your listeners.
We were just discussing Aaron Judge, and Aaron Judge got number 61 last night, and we talked to Chaim Bloom about this a while ago. Alex Cora talked about it on the afternoon show, so I want to get your opinion. When it comes to the best offensive season in the history of the game, where do you stand on Aaron Judge v. Barry Bonds?
That's a really good question. Probably recency bias, just having lived through it and watching what he's done to just destroy his American League East opponents. He's been pretty good. I think that Bonds has obviously the single season home run record, the all-time record, 762 home runs, I think. Every era is different, and he's got the record, so Bonds has it in my mind, but it is a tough question.
Texter wants me to ask if it is just a coincidence that in two crucial seasons following strikes, there has happened to be a home run record chase. I'm guessing that would just be coincidence.
Yeah, that's that. I wouldn't read anything into that, but there's been nothing positive or uplifting for us about our season. That's what we've been focused on. But I do understand that Aaron Judge has captured the imagination of baseball fans in the country. It's a great thing for baseball, but not a great thing for us, given a lot of his damage was done against us.
All right, Wiggy. Wiggy has Bogarts or Devers question.
No.
Oh,
this
okay.
is actually a Brian Bayo question. When you start to look at some of the players that you have coming back, do you tell them in the offseason, like, hey, here are our expectations of what we want from you going into next season?
Yeah, I actually had a relatively long conversation with both Chaim and Alex Cora about Bayo and Casas specifically, and it was great to hear their confidence level in both guys. I think to me that matters more than anything else, how our baseball ops group feel about these young players. And for Bayo to do what he did and Casas to come up, and both of them just feel like they belong. They look comfortable out there, and to have the confidence of their big league manager this early in their career is huge. So we have big plans for them next year, and we don't want to put too much pressure on them. But, yes, they will have a very detailed offseason plan that we hope they follow to a T so they can be a big part of the 2023 season.
Sam, I found it interesting, after getting eliminated from playoff contention, you got guys like Nathan Eovaldi, who's about to become a free agent, but going to make the start today. He's had a tough up and down season when it comes to injuries, but healthy enough to go. For guys to come back and pitch in front of Fenway fans and saying that's the reason why they want to do it, they want to finish out with the team, regardless of the status of the season. You've got a guy like Nathan Eovaldi, then Chris Sale seeming to return next week. Does that mean a lot to you and to the organization? And can you clarify with Chris Sale if he's just returning to be with the team or if he might see time actually pitching?
Yeah, I think with Chris, we would just see him around the clubhouse. That would be our hope, that he could be with the team. We won't see him playing this year, but hopefully he'll be back big part of next year. But to the first part of your question, absolutely yes. And look, we owe that to our fans, and we really appreciate that. Despite the disappointment, it has been an incredibly frustrating season on so many levels. But the last couple of weeks, our fans have supported us. The energy at Fenway has been great, and people have been there. And our players recognize that, and that's why they really love playing in Boston. Nate Eovaldi, especially, one of the greatest guys we've had in that clubhouse in my 21 years here. And so we really appreciate the fact that no one's giving up or quitting all the way to the end. It does mean a lot.
All right, can you get Chris Sale one of those bubble suits that the kids use for his return to Fenway?
Let me tell you something. This guy has had his incredibly unfair share of bad luck. So fingers and toes crossed that he'll come through all of this okay and be ready to go next year, because we're going to be counting on him for a healthy campaign.
Now, I know you can't really talk about, other players that are currently under contract, but when do you start putting together your board as far as free agents that you would like to, go after and got to make a hard push for in the offseason? And when do you then reach out to their representatives to see about if there's a possibility of them playing for the Red Sox?
Well, in terms of reaching out, you can't do that until players actually become free agents. And so it really is a planning exercise, as you alluded to. And believe it or not, right after the trade deadline in the summer, there's a group of people in baseball ops who are working on the future and strategic planning for the future. And so they have been aggressively researching and looking at different options and opportunities for 23, 24, 25, and sort of balancing what we have coming in the minor leagues, who we have in our current major league roster, and what players might be out there available via free agency or via trade. We have to be aggressive on all fronts. And I think you'll have non-playoff teams talking trade needs as soon as we get past next week. So it's a lot of research and planning has started, and then there's going to be a lot of activity as soon as the season ends.
Sam, this season the Red Sox were atop the fan cost index. I'm curious to see if you are, or the organization is planning lowering ticket prices for next season.
Yeah, what we've tried to do is use dynamic pricing, meaning changing the prices of tickets each and every day based upon demand, so increasing them or lowering them, and that's worked really well. And over the course of the season, prices will be different based upon opponent, based upon night of the week, based upon weather, and that allows us to meet our fans where they are in terms of the price of tickets. And it's really driven higher attendance, especially in those nights when there's lower demand. We go all the way down to $9 for students to buy tickets. Any college, high school, middle school student in New England can come to Fenway for $9 every night throughout the course of the year. So we're going to continue to price tickets. This will be our second or third year doing that. Seems to work really well. We do understand that prices for the very best seats are expensive, and we appreciate the support from those who keep buying them. But we also are in a position where we have 3 million tickets to sell. We're able to lower prices in certain areas on certain games.
Oh, we talked about this once before, but wanted to bring it up again because he said it again this week. LeBron James said, I still hate Boston. Don't get that twisted. He is an owner of the franchise. Is there anything that we can do, like a duck boat tour or Freedom Trail or maybe a cup of legal chowder or something like that to get the guy to maybe turn his opinion around on the city where he owns a portion of the baseball franchise?
I think that would make good content. Wiggy and Greg and maybe even Chris, they're talking to LeBron, trying to convince him that it's not such a bad place. But look, on a serious note, we addressed this on these airwaves a couple months back. We certainly don't speak for him or share his opinion when it comes to the city of Boston, especially someone like me who's been a Celtics fan since I was a little kid. So, look, he's got his opinions. I think they're basketball related to his experiences being a hated opponent of the Boston Celtics. And we'll just leave it at that and not going to wade into anything related to LeBron James's comments. We definitely do not speak for him.
Sam, when you look at the full body of work from last season and your current team, when you start looking at where you need to build up for next season, where do you think the focus needs to be?
It's an old cliche in baseball, but it's so true. It's pitching, and more pitching. Courtney, we have struggled at the starting pitching level and in the bullpen. I think we have a core group of players that we're prepared to build around, and that's great when you have positional players that you can rely on and count on. But we've got to build more depth across the board throughout the organization from a pitching perspective. The good news is you've seen some of our young guys come along and contribute, but we need more, and we're going to have to add in that area. That's what comes to mind first.
All right, and then just to get you on record with what remains in the season, are there any talks ongoing currently between the team and Xander Bogaerts?
I'll tell you that there's ongoing talks with Xander Bogaerts all the time, just given how close many of us in the organization are to him personally. But when it comes to the contract situation, I'll leave that alone for the appropriate time. And we really do appreciate how he's handled himself as a clubhouse leader all year long with this issue looming, because it can't be easy, and we appreciate it, and we'll get into those talks publicly when there's something to report.
And I know you're not going to tell us now, and nor would I expect you to, about what your plans are specifically with money and years and all that. But can you say that you, Chaim, and Alex are all on the same page regarding how you intend to approach this offseason?
We are, yes. The entire organization has the same goal. We're all aligned around what we're trying to do here, which is build a competitive team that's built to play in October. We failed this year. We're accountable. That's on us. We own that. There's no individual person to blame, but all of us as a group are accountable, and that is on us. Our ownership has given us the resources. I think it's questionable how those resources have been spent. That's on the front office. That's on all of us. Every single one of us in the front office. We didn't perform, and we own that. But we're all aligned about where we're going next year, what we want to do in 23, 24, 25, and that's build to compete, to be back in October the way we were just a year ago. It seems like a long, long time ago, especially coming off of a long season that's been disappointing. But coming into spring training into 2022, we felt we had a chance to build on that great 21 season. We didn't do it, but we're not going to dwell on it. We're going to stay positive and now look to the future.
Speaking of spring training, obviously what's going on Fort Myers area is difficult. Are you guys in touch with those who work for the organization down there, and maybe early, but thinking about the opportunities to help those folks out?
Yeah, Greg, I'm glad you mentioned it. We've been in touch with our team on the ground down there. We've got many employees in Southwest Florida and in Fort Myers, and the situation is dire. It's absolutely brutal. So we're going to use the resources that we have to help. We created a really powerful video message for our employees, and I want to thank Nate Ivaldi for doing that, and Matt Barnes and Kike and Alex Cora, who did that right before the game yesterday. It's a terrible, terrible situation, as everyone can see from the media. So we're following it closely, and we're going to support where we can, because we've got a big presence down in Southwest Florida.
All right, Sam. Well, I know maybe at times it hasn't been your favorite thing to get up and come on this program, but I appreciate you doing it, and we'll get to talk to you again sooner than later. As soon as that equipment truck is headed off down south, we'll start our conversations again, I'm sure.
Guys, thanks. Appreciate everything all season long. Sorry there weren't more high moments to cover, but keep the faith for next year. We're going to be back, and really looking forward to it. Thank you.
Well, listen, we always have June. I mean, that's when it comes to this season, we will always have June. So, all right, Sam Kennedy, we'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks.